The galaxy had changed long ago. The great wars had ended. The empires had risen and fallen. And the name humanity had turned into little more than a forgotten echo. Once, humans were known as fierce warriors, clever, brave, and unpredictable. But centuries after Earth's fall, those who survived spread across the stars, blending into alien societies as merchants, workers, and travelers. They were not feared anymore. They were pitied. No one believed that humans could fight again. Tiravel Outpost 7, Varkal Dominion territory. The planet Tiravel was a quiet, green world covered with wide plains and silver skies. It was home to one of the many military training centers of the Varkal Dominion, an empire ruled by tall, blue-scaled warriors who believed strength was everything. Commander Soraya Vorn, a respected Varkal officer, was in charge of the base. She stood on a high platform watching her soldiers train. They were strong, fast, and proud, exactly as she expected. Her golden armor shone under the twin suns as she barked orders. "Focus your aim! Move with purpose!" she shouted. The troops obeyed immediately. Then, at the edge of the field, someone unexpected stood. A thin, quiet human in a gray mechanic uniform. His name was Liam Hale. He worked in the maintenance bay, fixing weapons and repairing power systems. He was not a soldier. He was not even considered important. Yet there he was, standing still, watching the training with a thoughtful look in his eyes. Soraya noticed him and frowned. "You there," she called. "Human, what are you doing here?" Liam turned politely. "Just watching, Commander. I wanted to learn how your soldiers train." Her soldiers laughed quietly. Soraya raised one sharp brow. "Learn? What could a human possibly learn here? You people haven't fought for centuries." "I know," Liam said calmly. "But sometimes watching others helps you remember things you've forgotten." The answer made some of the soldiers chuckle again. Soraya waved a hand. "Fine, watch if you wish. Just don't get in the way." Liam nodded and stepped aside. But Soraya found herself strangely curious about him. There was something different in his eyes. Calm, quiet, but deep. Whispers in the barracks later that day, Soraya overheard some of her officers talking. "That human is strange," one said. "He asked questions about combat strategy." "Maybe he wants to feel important," another replied with a smirk. "Humans were once soldiers, right? Before they lost their world," they all laughed. Soraya didn't join in. She remembered how Liam had stood, completely still yet alert, as if he saw something others missed. Still, she brushed it off. "He's just curious," she said. "Let him play mechanic. We have real battles to prepare for." But that night everything changed. Attack from the void. The first alarms rang just before midnight. Red lights flashed through the halls as sirens wailed. Soraya ran to the command center. "Report," she shouted. "Pirate ships," a young officer cried. "3 vessels, no identification. They're attacking the outer perimeter." Soraya grabbed her helmet. "Mobilize defenses. Get the troops to the south gate." Within minutes, blaster fire filled the air. Explosions tore through the outer walls. The sky burned with plasma bolts as the pirates landed their ships and stormed the base. Soraya led her soldiers to the front line, shouting orders and returning fire. But the pirates were too many. They moved fast using cloaked drones and heavy weapons. "Fall back," Soraya ordered. "Regroup at the command building." She ran through the smoke, dodging debris. The air smelled of metal and fire. The ground shook as another blast hit nearby. Then, through the chaos, she saw something strange. The human in the smoke near one of the burning corridors. Several pirates had cornered a group of engineers. Among them was Liam Hale. Soraya expected him to run or hide, but he didn't. Instead, Liam moved. At first, she thought her eyes deceived her. He stepped aside from a laser shot just in time, grabbing a fallen metal rod from the floor. His movements were smooth, almost too calm for a man in danger. One pirate rushed at him. Liam sidestepped, twisting his body, and the attacker crashed into a wall unconscious before he could react. Another pirate fired. Liam ducked low, rolling to the side, and used the metal rod to knock the weapon out of the pirate's hand. A sharp strike followed, precise, efficient, and silent. Within seconds, the group of armed pirates lay scattered, groaning or stunned. Soraya froze. That wasn't luck. That was training, old, refined, and deadly precise. As the smoke cleared, Liam turned slightly and noticed her watching. His eyes met hers for a moment. They were calm, almost sad. Then he looked away and helped one of the engineers to safety. After the battle by dawn, the pirates retreated. The Varkal soldiers stood victorious, but the base was damaged and several were wounded. Saraya walked through the ruins, her armor scratched and her mind racing. Every soldier spoke about the mysterious human mechanic who had taken down armed attackers with nothing but a metal rod. When she found him again, he was back in the repair bay, quietly fixing a broken generator as if nothing had happened. "You," she said, stepping forward. "Explain yourself." Liam looked up. "Commander? How did you fight like that?" "Where did you learn?" she demanded. He wiped his hands with a cloth. "It's just something I was taught a long time ago." "By who?" "By someone who remembered what we used to be," Liam replied softly. Humans had many ways of fighting, not just with weapons, but with movement, timing, and awareness. Most of it is gone now. Only a few of us still remember the old ways. Saraya folded her arms. "You mean combat training?" "Not exactly," he said. "It's called the Old Earth Combat Arts. It's not about power. It's about understanding your enemy, Ree, and yourself." She studied him for a long time. His expression was calm, but there was something behind it. Quiet confidence, the kind that came from experience, not arrogance. "Show me," she said finally. Liam blinked. "Show you?" "Yes," Saraya said firmly. "I want to see this combat art tomorrow morning, on the training field." Liam sighed quietly but nodded. "As you wish, Commander." A quiet night that night, Tiravel was silent again. The stars stretched across the sky and the wind whispered through the plains. Liam sat outside the barracks looking up at the stars. He wondered if somewhere out there other humans still remembered the same teachings, the movements that once saved worlds. He whispered to himself, "They think we've forgotten. Maybe they need to see." At the same time, in her quarters, Saraya couldn't sleep. She replayed what she had seen. The human moving through battle like water, calm and focused. It made no sense. Every record said humans were weak, slow, and fragile. But what she had witnessed was something else entirely. Something dangerous and beautiful. She looked at her reflection in the mirror and said softly, "Tomorrow I'll see what this human really is." Outside, the first light of dawn began to rise, and somewhere deep in the outpost, a forgotten legacy of humanity had just begun to awaken. The morning sun spilled over the plains of Tiravel, painting the sky in soft shades of gold and silver. Birds with glimmering feathers circled high above the outpost, unaware of the humans' quiet awakening below. Commander Saraya Vorn arrived early at the training field, her armor polished and her eyes sharp. The other Varkal soldiers watched curiously from a distance. Today was not a normal training day. Today she would see if the human mechanic, Liam Hale, could truly fight like a warrior of legend, or if last night had been a fluke. Liam appeared shortly after, carrying nothing but a staff, a long, simple wooden rod, polished smooth from years of use. His uniform was neat, and he walked with a calm confidence that seemed to make the wind itself slow down around him. Saraya approached him, her stride measured but fast. "Human," she said, her voice firm. "I asked to see what you call combat art. This is your chance. Prove that you are not what everyone believes." Liam bowed slightly. "I am not here to prove anything, Commander. I only show what I know if you are willing to learn." Saraya raised an eyebrow. "Learn? I am a commander. I lead armies. I do not need lessons from a mechanic." Liam's eyes were calm. "And yet, Commander, sometimes strength is not enough. Even the strongest can fall if they do not understand the way of movement, timing, and observation." The words were simple, but there was weight behind them. Saraya felt a flicker of curiosity and a hint of caution. "Very well," she said. "Show me then." The duel begins. The soldiers formed a circle, giving space in the middle of the training field. Saraya raised her weapon, a standard Varkal energy blade, and adopted her combat stance. She had trained for decades, and yet she felt something unfamiliar. A subtle tension, as if she were stepping into a puzzle she did not fully understand. Liam stood across from her, gripping his wooden staff loosely. He made no other movements. His stance seemed casual, almost lazy, but his eyes never left her. Saraya lunged first, fast and precise. Her blade hummed as it cut through the air. Most opponents would have tried to block with equal force, but Liam did not move to block. Instead, he shifted slightly, allowing her own momentum to carry her past him. In one smooth motion, he tapped her blade with the tip of his staff, redirecting it harmlessly toward the ground. The soldiers gasped. Soraya stumbled but quickly regained balance. Her instincts screamed that she had underestimated him. She lunged again, feinting to her left and striking to her right. Liam mirrored her motion almost effortlessly, anticipating her movement and redirecting it with a simple twist of his wrist. Every strike, every parry, seemed effortless. And yet each movement was deliberate, precise, and perfectly timed. Soraya realized something she hadn't expected. This human was not relying on brute force. He was using the opponent's own energy against them. The secret of the old Earth combat arts. After several minutes, Soraya stepped back, panting lightly but smiling for the first time in years. "Enough," she said. "Tell me, what is this?" Liam rested his staff on the ground and crossed his arms. "This is the way humans once fought. It is not about hitting harder or moving faster. It is about observing, predicting, and responding. You do not overpower the enemy. You understand them." Soraya frowned, trying to grasp his meaning. "Observation? Understanding? That sounds like philosophy, not combat." He shook his head gently. "It is both. The old Earth combat arts were taught as a complete discipline. Physical ability matters, yes, but without awareness, without instinct, without timing, you are vulnerable. Strength alone cannot win." Soraya studied him carefully. "And you learned this and where?" "From my grandfather," Liam said. "He survived the final battle on Earth. He taught me before he passed, saying that humans would need to remember their ways one day. That day, maybe now." Her heart skipped a beat. She had heard stories of humans who fought in the solar wars, but they were old tales, myths. She had never expected to see one in action, let alone so skillful and calm. Training the commander for the next several hours, Liam taught Soraya small movements. He instructed her to step lightly, to shift her balance, and to watch not just the motion of the enemy but the rhythm of their body. "You cannot just strike," he said, correcting her again and again. "You must wait, feel the flow of energy, and move at the right moment. Even a single misstep can turn victory into defeat." Soraya's pride bristled at first, but she could feel something awakening inside her, a new understanding of combat that her raw strength had never offered. The other soldiers watched in awe as the commander of the Varkal Dominion struggled, stumbled, and then began to adapt. Every movement she made became smoother, faster, and more precise. Liam's voice was calm but firm. A teacher, a guide, not a soldier seeking glory. By midday, Soraya could strike and parry with much greater awareness. But Liam did not push further. He shook his head. "Understanding comes slowly. You must practice not for victory but for awareness. Only then can humans truly fight as they once did." Soraya nodded slowly. She had learned more in a single morning than she had in decades of traditional training. An unexpected visitor. As they paused for water, a courier arrived on a hovering bike carrying a message from the Dominion High Council. "Commander Vorn," the courier said, bowing low, "urgent intelligence has arrived. Pirates, a large fleet, approaching nearby colonies. Estimated arrival within 2 solar cycles." Soraya's jaw tightened. "Pirates again." Liam watched her silently. "Commander," he said softly, "this may be the moment your instincts and training must be tested." She turned toward him, seeing calm determination in his eyes. "You will fight with me?" she asked. Liam hesitated. "I do not fight for conquest or orders, but if I fight, it will be to protect. If your people cannot defend themselves, then perhaps it is my duty to remind them what humans can do." Soraya studied him for a long moment. Then she nodded. "Very well. You will join my team, but first we must prepare." The first lesson of trust the next few days were spent in preparation. Liam helped the soldiers not by giving them commands, but by showing them new ways to move, coordinate, and think. "Do not strike until you understand the pattern," he told them. "Do not react to fear. React to knowledge. And always, always watch your enemy more than you watch your weapon." The Varkal warriors were skeptical at first. They had trained their entire lives to value strength and speed above all else. But each time they practiced with Liam, they began to see results. Their strikes became faster, their defenses sharper, and their thinking clearer. Even Soraya began to feel the old excitement she had when first learning combat. Not pride, Not power, but the joy of learning something new, of discovering that limits could always be expanded. A quiet moment one evening after the soldiers had gone to rest. Saraya and Liam walked along the perimeter wall of Tiravel Outpost 7. The stars sparkled brightly above, and the twin moons cast silver reflections over the plains. "You know," Saraya said quietly, "I never thought humans could still fight. I thought it was all a story, a legend." Liam shrugged. "Many have forgotten. The galaxy likes to believe myths because myths are safer. But the truth, humans never lost their skill. They just became invisible." Saraya looked at him with a mixture of curiosity and respect. "You make it sound simple, but I can feel the difference. It's in the way you move, in the way you think. I've never seen anything like it," Liam smiled faintly. "It is not power. It is practice, focus, and patience. That is the true strength of humanity." Saraya nodded. "Then I want to see it again, tomorrow and the day after. And the day after that until the entire Dominion sees what humans can do." Liam's eyes softened. "I can try," he said. "But I warn you, it will not be easy. Humans are patient, yes, but not all are ready to remember." She looked up at the stars. "Then we will make them ready. Starting here, starting now." The awakening of a legend is. The night deepened, a quiet wind swept across the training field. Somewhere far beyond the outpost, alien ships passed silently through the darkness. But on Tiravel, a spark had been lit. A spark that reminded the galaxy that humans were not defeated, not broken, and not forgotten. Somewhere in the shadows of the galaxy, stories had begun to shift. The first whispers traveled. "There is a human on Tiravel. He moves like water. He fights like a shadow. He may be what humanity was always meant to be." And Liam Hale, the quiet mechanic, knew that the path ahead would be difficult. But for the first time in centuries, he felt hope, not just for himself, but for every human scattered across the stars, because the galaxy was about to remember that humans could fight. The news of a human's skill spread like wildfire across Tiravel Outpost 7. Soldiers whispered in the corridors. Curious officers came to watch from the shadows, and even some of the more senior commanders found themselves drawn to the training field. No one could explain it. No one wanted to admit it. But the human mechanic, Liam Hale, had done the impossible. He had moved through a battle like a shadow, precise and calm, defeating attackers with no weapons, but his own instinct and a simple wooden staff. And now, after days of teaching Commander Saraya Vorn, he was teaching the soldiers themselves, building the silver resolve. "Attention," Saraya called one morning. The soldiers lined up in the open field. Liam stood beside her, calm as ever, hands folded behind his back. "I have decided to form a new unit," Saraya said, her voice firm and clear. "A unit for those who wish to fight smarter, not just stronger. A unit to remember what humans once represented in battle." Murmurs ran through the ranks. Many were skeptical, especially the Varkal warriors. "A human-led unit?" one whispered. "We have been trained by the best in the Dominion, yet we are to follow a mechanic?" Saraya ignored them. "This unit will be called the Silver Resolve. Its purpose is not to conquer, but to protect, to adapt, to think. And you," she said, looking at Liam, "will train them." Liam's eyes widened slightly. "Me? I am no commander." "You are more than enough," Saraya said. "If humans could once dominate the galaxy with their skill, then perhaps you can remind others what is possible." The soldiers exchanged skeptical glances, but curiosity was stronger than doubt. Slowly, some stepped forward, eager to be trained in this strange human way. The first lessons training began at dawn. Liam didn't give long speeches or complicated instructions. Instead, he led by example, moving through the soldiers' ranks with effortless grace. "Watch carefully," he said. "Notice how your opponent breathes, how they shift their weight, how their eyes move. Then you will know when to act." The soldiers attempted to mimic him, but most stumbled, their heavy armor clanking as they tried to move like shadows. Liam corrected them gently, showing how a small shift of weight could make a strike more effective, or how a feint could cause an opponent to fall into a trap. Saraya watched closely, her mind replaying what she had learned from him. Even after decades of battle experience, she realized that humans had mastered something more than physical skill. They had mastered thinking in motion, turning instinct into art. By the third day, even the skeptical soldiers began to improve. Hits that had once been clumsy now flowed naturally. Defense was no longer static. It was a dance, reactive and alive. Unexpected visitors one evening, a delegation from a nearby colony arrived. They were wary, blue-armored diplomats from the Tyrix Confederation, a species known for their cold logic and strict discipline. "You claim to train soldiers in a new way," one of them said, "yet you follow a human, a species that lost their homeworld centuries ago. What makes you believe they can fight again?" Soraya's jaw tightened. "Because I have seen it myself. The human has skill, insight, and calm that we have never witnessed before. He does not fight like us. He fights like no one else, and it works." The Tyrix observers remained unconvinced. "We will see if this Silver Resolve is more than legend." The first test, Liam knew that lessons alone were not enough. Humans were remembered in stories as unpredictable, clever, and adaptable. To truly prove this, his students needed a test. He led them to a training arena near the cliffs of Tiravel. The ground was uneven, full of obstacles, rocks, and narrow ledges. Liam smiled faintly. "Real battle is not clean," he said. "It is messy, confusing, and dangerous. You will practice here as if you are facing enemies who will not forgive mistakes." The soldiers divided into teams. At first, chaos erupted. Heavy armor clanged. Soldiers fell awkwardly. Weapons misfired. But Liam moved among them, quietly correcting, guiding, showing subtle adjustments that made impossible maneuvers suddenly achievable. Soraya joined in, her blade cutting through the air with more precision than ever. She felt alive in a way she hadn't in years, no longer commanding from above but learning alongside her soldiers. By sunset, the chaos had transformed into coordination. Soldiers moved in harmony, predicting each other's actions. Strikes that once would have been fatal were now carefully dodged or parried. Even the Tyrix observers could not hide their astonishment. Word spreads by the next morning. Word of the training reached nearby colonies. Rumors of a human who could teach armies to move like ghosts traveled fast. Curious warriors and adventurers began arriving at Tiravel, eager to witness the Silver Resolve. Some laughed at first. Others whispered doubts. But no one could deny the results. When Liam demonstrated a single sequence of movement, sidestepping, redirecting energy, disarming a simulated enemy, everyone watching felt a strange awe. "They move as one," one Tyrix officer said quietly. "And the human leads them." Without shouting, without orders, without fear, Soraya nodded. "Yes, this is what humans once were, and now they are remembered again." An unexpected challenge. Not all were pleased. Among the Varkal officers, some feared losing influence. One senior commander, Raxil Tor, approached Soraya privately. "You risk showing weakness," he warned. "Following a human will make others doubt your leadership. Why give them such power?" Soraya shook her head. "I am not giving power. I am showing potential. Strength alone is not enough anymore." "Adaptability is strength too," Raxil sneered. "Do not be foolish. Humans are gone. Legends do not fight armies, perhaps," Soraya said calmly. "Or perhaps legends are only waiting for someone to remember them." A glimpse of true potentials. That evening, Liam took Soraya aside. "Commander, the real challenge will come soon," he said. "Stories and training are one thing. Actual conflict is another. The galaxy is not kind to those who wait too long to fight." "What do you mean?" she asked. "Pirates," he said simply. "And something else. Something I've been sensing for weeks. Machines, logical, cold, relentless. They are moving through the sectors, and when they strike, they will not stop." Soraya felt a chill run down her spine. The idea of facing pirates was one thing. Facing an unstoppable machine force was something else entirely. Liam continued. "The Silver Resolve can prepare. We can teach soldiers, yes. But humans survive not just by power. They survive by observing, adapting, and thinking faster than anyone else. If we are to face these threats, the galaxy must see what humans are capable of." Soraya nodded slowly. She had seen the skill, the calm, the instinct. She had witnessed something that defied centuries of belief. And now she understood what Liam meant. Humanity was not gone. Humanity was a spark, and it was beginning to ignite again. Unity among species. Word of the Silver Resolve reached distant colonies. Soldiers from other species, Tyrix, Kellen, and even Varkal from different sectors came to join. Liam was hesitant at first. Humans were a rare species now. Most were untrained and unsure. "Why teach them?" he asked Soraya one night. "Because strength is amplified when shared," she said. "And humanity is strongest not when alone, but when remembered by others." So Liam trained them. Small groups learned to move together, to anticipate, to adapt. Some aliens struggled to adopt the human methods, but slowly their instincts sharpened. What had seemed impossible days before now became a reality. Creatures from different worlds moved as a coordinated unit under human-inspired guidance. It was not power alone. It was strategy, instinct and courage combined. A rising legend by the end of the first week. Stories of the Silver Resolve had spread across several systems. Pirates whispered warnings about the human and her commander. Traders spoke of soldiers moving like shadows, striking with uncanny precision. Even distant colonies that had forgotten humanity's reputation began to remember. Humans were not weak, humans were not gone. Humans were unpredictable, clever, and unstoppable when needed. Saraya watched her soldiers practice, moving fluidly under Liam's guidance. She could see the spark in their eyes, the same spark she had seen in Liam's movements during the first pirate attack. Humans were remembered, and Liam Hale, the quiet mechanic who had once only fixed machines, now stood as a living reminder. Humanity had not lost its way. Humanity had only been waiting for the right moment to rise again. The calm of Tiravel was shattered just as the twin suns began to rise. Alarms rang through the outpost, red lights flashing against the silver walls. The distant hum of engines grew louder, filling the air with tension. Commander Saraya Vorn was already at the command center, monitoring the incoming threat. On her screen, a fleet of ships approached the planet unlike any pirates she had ever faced. Sleek, angular, and glowing with cold blue energy, they were machines controlled with precision and without hesitation. "They're too fast," one officer shouted. "We can't stop them." Saraya clenched her fists. "We have to try. Get the Silver Resolve ready now." The Silver Resolve prepares. Liam Hale stood beside Saraya, calm as ever, his staff in hand. The soldiers of the Silver Resolve moved quickly, checking weapons, reinforcing barriers, and forming defensive lines. Despite the chaos, their movements were precise and coordinated, a stark contrast to the panic around them. "Remember," Liam said, addressing the group, "machines are logical. They calculate, they follow patterns, but they cannot anticipate creativity. That is our advantage. Watch, adapt, and use what humans do best, think faster than they expect." Saraya watched him. She had trained with him, learned from him, and now trusted his instincts completely. "Let's show them what we're capable of," she said, determination shining in her eyes. The first clash, the first wave of attackers hit the outpost's outer walls. Energy bolts ripped through metal and stone, explosions sending debris flying into the air. Soldiers fell back, trying to respond. The machines moved with chilling precision, sweeping through defenses as though nothing could stop them. But then Liam stepped forward. With a single motion, he directed a squad of soldiers toward weak points in the machine's formation. Instead of charging blindly, they moved strategically, ducking, rolling, and striking with exact timing. A machine turret targeted them, its sensors glowing red. Liam rolled to the side, using the turret's own recoil to redirect it into another machine. One by one, the Silver Resolve dismantled their attackers' lines, striking in ways no one thought possible. Saraya fought alongside them, her energy blade moving with more fluidity than ever before. Every strike she made was calculated, her movements perfectly timed to disable, not destroy unnecessarily. Together they were unpredictable, and the machines struggled to keep up. Patterns in chaos. The battle raged. Liam observed the enemy carefully. "They are fast, yes," he said to Saraya, "but watch their patterns. Machines repeat sequences. They think faster than most living beings, but they cannot improvise." Saraya nodded. She saw what he meant. Each machine attack followed a predictable rhythm, subtle but detectable. Using Liam's guidance, the Silver Resolve began to exploit these weaknesses, dodging energy blasts and setting traps. Even soldiers who had once been clumsy now moved with purpose. Varkal Tyrix and Kellen warriors worked together seamlessly, learning from Liam's human-inspired tactics. A close call during a particularly intense moment. A massive attack drone broke through the outer defenses and charged towards Saraya. Its weapons fired relentlessly. She ducked and rolled, but the drone adjusted, locking its aim on her again. Liam appeared beside her, staff connecting with the drone's leg joint in a single precise strike. The machine toppled, its systems short-circuiting. Saraya stared at him, amazed. "How did you know?" she asked. "I watched," Liam replied simply. "Every move has a rhythm. You just have to find it and flow with it." Saraya realized something profound. Humans were not just fighters, they were observers, thinkers, and adapters. Strength and weapons mattered, but intelligence and timing mattered more. The turning point hours passed. The outpost was battered, but the Silver Resolve never faltered. They used tunnels, cliffs, and debris as advantages, striking where the machines least expected. At one point, Liam led a small team into the heart of the battlefield. They disabled a power relay, causing a chain reaction that knocked several enemy ships offline. It was a bold move, one that could have failed spectacularly. But Liam's confidence inspired his team. Saraya followed, seeing how humans' calm, adaptive thinking could turn a desperate situation into an opportunity. Slowly, the tide of battle shifted. Machines that once seemed unstoppable began to fall, unable to cope with unexpected tactics. The cost of victory. By nightfall, the battlefield was quiet. Smoke rose from destroyed machines, and injured soldiers received aid. The outpost had survived, but barely. Some of the Silver Resolve had been hurt, and the older soldiers looked exhausted but proud. Saraya walked through the battlefield, observing the aftermath. She had never seen courage and strategy combined so perfectly. She approached Liam, who was helping a young Tyrek soldier check his staff for damage. "You've done it," she said quietly. "You've reminded them. Humans can fight." Liam shook his head. "We have survived today, yes. But there will be more. Machines are logical, persistent. Pirates will try again. The galaxy will continue to challenge us," Saraya nodded. "Then we continue to train.
We continue to prepare.
And we fight. Not just to survive, but to show the galaxy what humans truly are." The legend grows. Word of the Silver Resolve's victory spread quickly. News ships carried tales of a human who had led an outpost to survive against impossible odds. Across distant colonies, soldiers whispered about Liam Hale, the quiet mechanic who moved like a shadow and thought faster than the deadliest machines. Even in the Dominion's high council chambers, commanders discussed the event. "A human?" one asked incredulously. "We rely on our strongest warriors, yet this human has inspired an entire unit to victory." "Yes," another replied. "And we must prepare. The galaxy cannot underestimate humans again. They are no longer weak. They are clever, adaptable, and dangerous in ways we have forgotten." A quiet celebration. That night, the surviving soldiers of the Silver Resolve gathered around small fires. They were bruised, tired, but victorious. Liam sat quietly, cleaning his staff, as Saraya looked at him with respect. "You've changed everything," she said softly. "Not just our tactics, but the way we see humanity. You've reminded everyone here that strength is not the only measure of power." Liam smiled faintly. Humans survive because they observe, adapt, and endure. The galaxy forgets easily, but when reminded, humans shine, Saraya nodded. Then we remind them again. Tomorrow and every day after that. The galaxy will see what humans are capable of. And it will remember. A new mission. As the twin moons rose over Tiravel, Liam gazed at the stars. Somewhere out there, human colonies still existed, scattered and hidden. Somewhere, stories of survival and courage awaited rediscovery. The Silver Resolve had survived their first true battle. But Liam knew this was only the beginning. Greater challenges lay ahead. Pirates, alien empires, and cold, calculating machines. Yet for the first time in centuries, he felt a deep hope. Humanity was no longer forgotten. And Commander Saraya, once a skeptic, had become an unwavering believer. She would fight alongside Liam, learn from him, and help the Silver Resolve grow into a force that the galaxy would never forget. The stars stretched endlessly above, and with them the promise of humanity's return to greatness. Because even in a galaxy that thought humans weak, a single movement could change everything. The galaxy held its breath. After the battle on Tiravel, the legend of the human warrior had begun to spread. News ships carried the story from colony to colony, from frontier worlds to bustling hubs of trade. Humans were no longer considered weak or extinct. The whispers became words. The words became stories. And now, the galaxy waited to see if the Silver Resolve could survive the next challenge. Commander Saraya Vorn stood atop the walls of Tiravel Outpost 7, watching the horizon. The twin suns were just rising, casting long shadows across the plains. Her soldiers moved with calm precision, their movements no longer clumsy but coordinated and deliberate. They had learned to think, to anticipate, and to adapt. They were ready. Beside her, Liam Hale adjusted his staff. His calm eyes scanned the skies, reading patterns in the distant stars. He knew this battle would be unlike any other. The Orcs Collective, Liam said quietly. They move like the wind, relentless, precise, and calculating. If they reach Tiravel before we act, it could be the end for many worlds. Soraya's jaw tightened. Then we stop them here. Whatever it takes. The approach of the Orcs hours later, sensors detected a massive fleet approaching from beyond the sector. The Orcs Collective, a machine-driven empire, moved with terrifying efficiency. Their ships were sleek, black, and silent. They coordinated perfectly, forming defensive and offensive lines without hesitation. The Dominion officers were panicked. "There's no way to stop them," one cried. "They are machines, unfeeling, unstoppable." Soraya did not respond immediately. She looked at Liam. "You've trained my soldiers. You've shown them what humans can do. Now we put that to the test," Liam nodded. "Yes, but we must be smart. We cannot meet them with brute force. We fight with thought, adaptation, and courage. That is what humans do best." The battle begins. The Oryx fleet entered Tiravel's orbit, sending smaller attack drones to test the planet's defenses. Explosions shook the surface as the first waves of machines landed near the plains. The Silver Resolve stood ready. Liam led the first squad into the fray. Using high ground, natural obstacles, and calculated timing, they struck quickly and disappeared, confusing the enemy. Machines fired relentlessly, but they could not anticipate the unpredictable, fluid movements of the human-led soldiers. Soraya fought alongside them, her energy blade moving faster and more precise than ever. Every strike, every maneuver flowed naturally, as though instinct and strategy had fused into one. Soldiers from different species mirrored her movements, coordinated in a way that made the machines falter. "This is impossible," shouted a Varkal officer. "They move as one, yet they think individually." Liam glanced at her. "That is the power of humanity," he said simply. The heart of strategy, the battle raged for hours. Oryx drones swarmed, and larger machines attempted to break the human lines. Liam observed carefully, noting every pattern, every predictable motion. "Commander," he said, pointing at the enemy formation, "their front line repeats its attack sequence every 3 seconds. If we create a distraction here and strike there, we can collapse their formation." Soraya nodded. She signaled her squad, and the Silver Resolve executed the plan flawlessly. Soldiers moved like shadows, striking at critical points with perfect timing. Explosions and sparks filled the air as machines fell one by one, unable to adapt quickly enough to the human strategy. Even the Dominion commanders watching from the command center were amazed. "It's not just strength," one whispered. "It's intelligence, courage, and instinct combined." The turning point. The Oryx began to adapt, sending their fastest, most lethal machines directly into the heart of the human lines. For a moment it seemed the Silver Resolve might falter. Heavy machines fired relentlessly, and smaller drones tried to flank them. Liam stepped forward, his calm focus unbroken. "Remember," he shouted to the soldiers, "think like humans. Adapt, anticipate, move." With a sudden, fluid motion, he used his staff to redirect an enemy projectile, causing it to strike another machine. He leaped, rolled, and guided his team with precise instructions, each one executed instantly. Soldiers followed his lead without hesitation. The Oryx were relentless, but the Silver Resolve was faster, smarter, and unpredictable. Every calculated strike disrupted the enemy's logic. Every adaptive move broke their pattern. Slowly the tide turned. Unity and courage. Soraya watched in awe. Aliens, humans, and Varkal warriors moved as a single unit under Liam's guidance. Each one understood the principle: adapt, observe, and act with precision. Fear was replaced with focus. Panic was replaced with strategy. Even injured soldiers continued to fight, supported by their teammates. They had learned something greater than physical skill. They had learned trust, awareness, and resilience. The battlefield became a dance of light, motion, and strategy. The Oryx, cold and calculated, could not match the fluid, human-inspired thinking of the Silver Resolve. The final strike, as the sun reached its zenith. Liam spotted the Oryx command ship hovering above the plains. Its energy cores glowed, and its drones protected it like a fortress. He turned to Soraya. "This is it," he said. "If we disable that ship, the rest will retreat. But it will take precise coordination." Soraya nodded. "Then we do it together." The soldiers split into coordinated teams. Liam led a small strike team to exploit weak points in the ship's defense. Using the terrain and calculated timing, they disabled shields, destroyed communication arrays, and disrupted the ship's core systems. At the exact moment, Soraya and her larger squad attacked from above, striking with precision and forcing the ship to crash onto the plains in a controlled collapse. The energy explosion illuminated the battlefield, shaking the remaining machines into retreat. The Orcs fleet, now leaderless and confused, withdrew from Tiravel, leaving the Silver Resolve victorious. Victory and reflection. The battlefield was quiet at last. Smoke rose from the plains and the surviving soldiers cheered, exhausted but alive. Soraya walked through them, her eyes scanning each face. Pride, respect, and awe were written across every soldier. She found Liam sitting on a rock, his staff resting across his knees. She knelt beside him. "You did it," she said softly. "You reminded the galaxy what humans can do." Liam shook his head. "We did it. Humans, Varkle, Tyrix, Kellen, all of us together. Humans are not alone and humans are not weak. But the galaxy is still vast and challenges will come again." Soraya smiled. "Then we will be ready. We fight not just to survive but to inspire. Humanity has returned and the galaxy will never forget." The return of humanity news of the battle spread quickly. Across distant colonies and forgotten stations, humans emerged from hiding. Soldiers, engineers, merchants, and explorers began to remember their heritage. The phrase human adaptability became a rallying cry. Tales of Liam Hale and the Silver Resolve inspired others to train, to fight, and to lead. Across the stars, humans who had once been considered weak now stood tall, proud, and capable. Even Soraya, once skeptical, became a believer. She recorded a message that would travel to every colony. They said humanity could not fight anymore. They were wrong. They never saw one move. The galaxy listened. The legend was no longer a story. It was reality. A new dawn, the twin suns rose over Tiravel once more, shining on soldiers who had proven that intelligence, courage, and adaptability were more powerful than raw strength. Liam Hale stood quietly watching the plains. He knew the journey was far from over. Other threats would come. Other battles would demand more. But humanity had returned to the stars. And now the galaxy would see not only what humans could fight, but what humans could inspire. As fleets from distant colonies prepared to aid in future conflicts, Soraya stood beside Liam, looking up at the endless sky. "Humanity has begun again," she said. "Yes," Liam replied, "and this time, we will never be forgotten." The stars stretched endlessly above, shining brighter than ever, and somewhere deep in the galaxy, the echoes of a forgotten legacy had finally returned, stronger and brighter than anyone could have imagined. Because even in a universe that thought humans weak, one move had changed everything.